Hey, Bill, Tisha, all E, all E. Thanks for showing. I'm doing good. How are you, Bill? I'm going to get started here in a minute, give everyone a chance to show up. Okay, I'm going to get right into it. I want to try to make this video as short as possible. Hello everyone, welcome to this quick impromptu drawing tips on dark hair. And the reason I decided to do this is I saw a posting on my realistic drawing group where someone is, I believe his name is Muhammad, is practicing how to draw dark hair, and I thought, I think I should kind of throw a few tips out there so he and others can take advantage of that. So anyway, I'm going to get right into that. Hey Marcia, how are you? Brasileira. Oi, soy, so. Eu não entendo português. Okay, here we go. All right. Now here is the reference photo that was put up there on the drawing group, and going to be drawing this dark hair here. Now this is clearly this is a color reference. It's not very high quality. Oh, I just noticed there's someone's peeking their head over the counter here. I didn't even see that. Anyway, one of the things I would highly recommend if you're going to draw from a color photograph is to convert it to black and white. Especially if you're going to draw with charcoal or graphite, might as well get it to where it is easier to see. So here, for example, is the black and white version. And this is really simple to do if you have like Photoshop, because all you have to do is go into the hue and saturation settings and turn the saturation all the way down and you get black and white. So I'm going to use the black and white because it's easier to see the white and the highlights in the hair as opposed to an old color picture like this, which is really not that high quality to begin with. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that, and we're going to use this as the reference. Now this here is the drawing that I noticed that was started as practice, and this is the reason why I decided to do this, is because as soon as I saw this, I figured, you know what, I need to jump in there and help out a little bit. And since he did say he was practicing, that I felt that he would not be offended if I was to share some tips on it. One of the things I want to kind of bring out is, especially if you're going to draw dark hair, is don't draw individual hairs. Like in this example here, and I'm just going to take this extra hard charcoal pencil here. It could be, matter of fact, I'm just going to use a regular pencil here. You don't want to draw lines like this. You don't want this to be your hair for dark hair, especially because it takes on a porcupine look. It looks pointy, and it doesn't look natural, and it's not going to come out right. Now the shape here, I don't know what the shape was meant to be here, but it's very square here. But I believe what he was doing here is that he was quickly doing this, which is fine, and then coming in there and doing whatever and then would erase the original lines. That's fine, and I get that. That's kind of a freehand way of doing things. But I did want to talk about this because I see he's doing one of those where you call it where your hair grows out. I forgot what that's called in the back of the head. I don't see that. I don't see that in this reference photo. So adding that in wouldn't make much sense. But doing these lines, not recommended. At least I don't recommend it. So let me show you how I would go about doing this rather quickly, as a matter of fact. I think it's easier and quicker than trying to draw a whole bunch of hairs, and you can make it look a whole lot more natural. So take that out of the way, and here is my sketch of this young man here. So I've got the shape of his head here, and I just went ahead and drew where his ear was and his face. However, I'm not going to draw his face. I'm just going to quickly do the hair, and I'm not really going to spend a lot of time on the hair. This is a tips and tricks video, as opposed to doing the, from start to finish the whole hair, because that would just take way too long for a live session. But I'm going to use charcoal powder, and charcoal powder is really good for something like this to start off, because you need a base. You need a dark base, especially with dark hair like this. So I'm going to open up the charcoal powder, and I'm going to take a Q-tip, for example, and I'm just going to dip that in. And since I have a lot of space to cover here, I'm just going to go ahead and do this here real quick. Normally I would not do this, but I got a lot of territory to cover here and not a lot of time to do it. So let me just do that real quick, and then smear that puppy around. Just get it all in there. Now, if this was on an easel, of course, you couldn't do it because it would smear down all over the face and everything. But I have this on a flat surface, so I'm going to be able to take a lot of liberties here because we're on a flat surface. And I want to get this as dark as I can, but it's only going to get so dark with this blender. And I can move this charcoal around everywhere I want. Now, one of the other things, too, that often helps, especially the subconscious mind, is if you wanted to, when you're drawing your base, and like I'm doing is you could just go ahead and do it in the direction that you see the hair. So I could be coming in here like this, and I can come in here and just do it all in the direction that you see the hair. So I'm going to just do that just as an example, but you don't have to, because this is really the base. But I like the fact that sometimes there's very subtle hints of direction that will come out that maybe you wouldn't notice if you were like trying to look for it, but maybe your eye can catch it. So just that's a tip. So another tip, but just go in here and darken it all up with that charcoal. And if you like, do it in the direction the hair is moving in. Some of these streaks are going to possibly show up. Most of them won't, but like I said, it won't hurt. It just won't hurt if you decide to do that. Will not hurt one bit. All right. I still have a lot on here, so I don't have to double dip here. Get this all covered up. I wish there was a way to speed draw this, but I'm live at the moment. Live doesn't allow you to speed draw. I could come back in 20 minutes if you like. Yeah, imagine you guys are all saying, no. I need to go to lunch, breakfast, wherever you are. All right. We're just going to cover all this area up here. Remember, this is the base. It's all about the base, no trouble. All right. It's kind of getting old, that one, all about the base. All right. I need some new material for my stand up here. Okay, I'm going to move this all up here like so. Move all this nice charcoal powder up here. I don't want to push it where it gets too light because I want it as dark as I can get it. Looking good so far. You can see how easy this is. This is so easy. Alright, so his hair goes out like this. I see it's all pointy, coming out like this. And so I'm just drawing in that direction like so. Now yes, I am showing you how to draw dark hair using charcoal. If you wanted to use graphite, you can. I have graphite powder as well. But you're not going to get as dark as you can with charcoal. And since the idea here is to get dark hair, and I'm going for as realistic as possible, that I'm using charcoal for the hair. And by the way, I also have a couple of videos on this, so this will now add to that collection of videos on dark hair. All right, so I got that so far. I'm going to go ahead and brush this off here. Okay. And you can use a brush, you know, if you want to do this, but that's not going to do anything. All right, now, what I have here is a Grande, Primo Grande. It's a soft charcoal. And I'm going to go ahead and start now getting in more darkness because there's not enough darkness here. So I'm going to go ahead and start getting some of that in. Now I see you've got a lot of spiky things going on here, so I'm going to... And by the way, the spiky that I'm doing here is not going to be that right there, because I'm going to end up using my eraser in a moment and you'll see what I'm talking about. But like I said, I can draw in the direction of the hair, and I'm going for total coverage here. Total coverage. So, doesn't look like anything now, but it will. It will. And by the way, I am not drawing individual hairs. That's a mistake to do, in my opinion, at this stage. You can do it for fine hairs and everything, but right now we are looking for coverage. That's all we want, is coverage. And then I'm going to blend it with my brush here in a moment. But I need as much dark as I can get for contrast purposes. And this whole area right here, if you see this area right here, that's solid. That's solid dark. So you're definitely not going to see individual strands of hair. You can even come in here like I am with the side of the charcoal pencil and just start doing this and just get that darkened in. But I'm going to keep going where I think the hair is moving, in what direction, just because I always visualize the direction of things when I'm drawing it, even when those actual individual hairs or whatever is not going to be showing up when it's all said and done. But I still like doing it. When I draw fabric, I draw as if I'm going up and down folds and stuff, even though I know I'm on a flat piece of paper. Just get my brain thinking in that helps me to put pressure on the pencil in the right times and then take the pressure off at other times. So it's just a habit I got into really early, and it has worked out really well for me. So if it's worked out for me, I figure I'll share that thought with you guys. Now, if you're asking questions right now or making comments that need my attention, I apologize, but the chat box is behind me. I can't see any comments at the moment, but I will take your questions after I'm finished with this drawing session. I will then be more than happy to address any and all questions that you have. But please be patient until this is all done, because I really want to get this done sooner rather than later. Now you see, I'm not doing anything that requires precision. I am just coming in here like willy-nilly and just throwing it down. I'm just laying it down like there is no tomorrow. Use lots of charcoal for this, lots of charcoal. All right, so now I've got all this charcoal in here. Now I need to do some blending. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to dip my brush in this charcoal powder. Tap it off so it isn't too darn messy. And I need to just start doing that. And I'm going to blend with it. This way, while I'm blending, I'm not removing because I'm actually adding, which is great. I do not want highlights drawn in. I'm going to take them out with my eraser here in a moment. Just move it around real easy. Now I'm doing this accelerated, by the way. Trust me, I am much more meticulous when I'm not on the time clock, but right now I am on a time clock, but yet it's still going to come out just fine. So you don't have to spend a whole lot of time with dark hair. All right. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. All right. Now what I need is my eraser here. Let me get that. All right. I'm a little messy. All right, there we go. Now, if you'll notice, I have a lot of highlight areas in here, but I have areas in here that are not highlighted. So what I want to do is I really want to get that darkened in. Where's that pencil at? So I'm going to come in here, and I'm just going to come in here and start looking where all those dark areas are, and I'm going to focus on those dark areas here and just draw those in. I want it to look just like the reference photo. Don't do the parts got the highlights. Leave those alone. Okay, leave them alone for now. Just get the darkened areas. Goes light to here. Make sure you leave that exactly what you see there to here. So I'm going to go around it. Right here, I'm looking at the shape, negative space right here, making sure I get that negative space exactly what I see on the reference. Right here behind the ear. Okay. Now we're starting to get this young man's hair in there. Hey Marty, thank you so much for the super chat. I just turned around and saw that big old yellow banner there. Thanks, buddy. Thank you so much. Okay. Now, let me get this in here like so. Let's see if it's in the camera. Okay. Now what I'm going to show you here is take yourself, like, for example, you can get one of these Tough Stuff eraser sticks, or you can get one of these Tombow Mono 0100s. I have both. Here's a chopstick with a slice of one of these white erasers. You just take a slice off of it. You can see that it's pretty charcoaled up because I've used it for this before, and you can come in here and you can do this kind of thing. And you're going to put in these highlights. Make sure that it can make those nice thin highlights for you. Let's see, where's my usually keep a paper here. I can't seem to find it. Okay, just come in here and willy-nilly, you notice the highlights here, just get those drawn in. You're going to blend it out anyway and do it all over again, but you want to start getting something going here. I'm going to use my Tough Stick. I love my Tough Stick. See how cool that is? And don't be afraid if it does, you're not getting what you want. Remember, you can blend, erase, blend, erase, blend, erase, blend to your heart's content. You see these little areas out here? You can start cutting into those if you want. Make sure you've got a nice sharp edge on here. I've cut out my what do you call it, the eraser tip. And I'm being real messy here, by the way, so it's not going to be exactly how it would be if I took my time, but I want you to know the tips. I can't do a complete drawing from start to bottom because it would actually be in the realm of hours rather than minutes. But I hope you're gonna pick up on what I'm doing here, and you know what I'm doing. Okay, but I'm gonna put some nice little jaggeds here, and then I'm gonna erase them off. Clean up things a little bit. Try not to cover it too much as I'm drawing. I want to rough up these edges here somewhat. Use your Tombow if you want. Same thing. It's a skinnier eraser. And then I chop the little hairs off the top there. Clean it up. Okay. Look where the highlights are. That's what you're working with. Get them in there. where you see it on the reference here. All right, take your brush, do some blending. I have a lot of excess charcoal on here. Let me get rid of that. Right. Now, as you're doing the edges and everything, I'm going to show you in a second what you can do with your hard, extra hard and your hard charcoal pencils. What I'm doing is kind of like breaking the surface tension of water here. I'm breaking the surface tension of his hair, and then I'm going to come in and fine tune it. Where is that? Can't use that. Okay, here is the extra hard generals, for example, and you can come in here and you can produce those real fine points that he's got on the top of his head there. Oh, that was good. Don't know my own strength. Uh-oh, I just tore that paper. Look at that. Where are you? Hide that pretty quick. And there you go. If you want to come in with the smaller eraser and fine tune little areas here that you see, like right there, you're going to come in there and go, okay, I want to put in some little details like that. You come in here and do that. Here a little bit here maybe. How about here? Here. There's a big old clip out here. And you got over here is another one. Maybe a little bit of sparseness there. Take that out. You know, just try to find areas that stick out, that you can alter the look of the hair to make it match what you actually see. What did I do with all my pencils? Oh, okay, there we go. This one needs sharpening. Okay, excuse me for a second. I need to get me a blade here, or a sharpened edge. That's not going to work. Let's see. It's a thick charcoal pencil, so it can only go into certain sharpeners. All right, here we go. Ugh. Charcoal is so messy, especially when you're rushing like I am. Okay, I'm going to use General's All Art here, but I want to be real careful because it's easy to break the point. All right, there we go. All right, what do we got here? We have okay, that's a little thicker there. Definitely want to get that in there. Don't want to close up that opening that I just made, so I'll just make sure I don't do that. All right. Okay, so let me move that out of the way. Now that I've blended, paper blender. I don't like clumpy look, so I'm going to get this blended down. And I notice that I need a little more thickness over here, so I'm going to take my soft pencil here in a second and go back over that. Well, look what you can do with a paper blender. How cool is that, huh? Feather those areas in there. It's right there. Looking for details or highlights that I can chop off real quick. Then I will blend them down. Doing a little cleanup here. I'm smearing all over the place. All right. Now I've got to go with my soft again. Where's my soft? Where's my soft? There it is. You'll notice that the highlights here are a little more highlighty than here. So I'm going to come in here now and I'm going to start finding the areas that it's darkest. Get that back in there again. Dark hair is one of the easiest things to do. I guess we can say now it's one of the messiest things to do. Okay, highlights. Remember, you're going to blend them out, so don't worry about them if they stand out too bright or anything. You're going to blend them out again. So just look around where they are, get them in there. It's all about the layering and blending. Look at the direction of these highlights. Do I still have a point? Yeah, still kind of a point. Letitia, thank you so much for the super chat. Appreciate it. Thank you. You guys are really awesome helping me out. All right. Get in here. Okay. I have to come to a conclusion here real soon because I could be working on this for a good 30 more minutes, but I just want you guys to get an idea of just the technique on how to do this. It's really, really easy. And as you can see, in no time am I actually drawing hair. I put a big old blotch of charcoal here, and I'm just pulling out highlights, feathering the edges, as you can see, because he's got the little spiky thing going. And blending, blend down. And another thing you can do, which is really good, now I'm probably going to want to go with a hard. Give me a second, I'm going to grab me a hard. All right, here's a hard. So for example, when you come in here and you put in some of these highlights, like I'm going to come over here and let's see, it's right off by right here. Okay, so let's say you put in some highlights. Okay, and you want to give it some depth. So let me get some of these highlights in here, and then I can show you what I'm talking about. Okay, you want to come in here, for example. You can come in here and darken in between these highlights with a nice dark charcoal pencil. Look where the areas are a little darker there, and those are the great places to come in there and subdue some of those highlights you put in there. But as you draw beside those white highlights and in between them, you cause them to come out. That's more like thicker hair. And so if you can see, this camera isn't so great, but you can see there's more depth. It's like there's layers to this hair, and that's the whole idea of adding your charcoal. And then, gosh, I'm breaking too many pencils because I'm rushing. I'm moving too fast. I apologize, but kind of short on time. All right, so when they come in here, all right. So I'm not going to strive for perfection because I just need you guys to get an idea of what it needs to look like. And I'll let you go ahead and practice after we're done here. But just put in your highlights where you see them and then subdue it. Bring it down a little bit, like that. Highlights. Subdue it. And then you can put your final highlights in, those areas where you want it to be brighter. And don't subdue it after that. You can just leave them and let them just hang out there. Okay. I'm getting carried away again. I always do this. I get involved and it's like, okay, I'm going to be here like 5 hours and I'm not even going to keep this. I'm going to end up throwing it in the trash. So I don't want to spend too much time on it. Okay. And final, just make sure that you look for little things like, see the little fine hairs that he's got there. Okay, make sure that you get those in so ever so lightly, because that's all part of the illusion. Got some strays going here. Using the hard charcoal for this, by the way, because I can get some really fine lines with this. Okay, some over his ears. You want to get that in there too. I'm not going to bother so much with all that. But anyway, and there you go. All right. So drawing dark hair is really that simple. Now, obviously, you want to spend a little more time. Take your time on it. Make sure that the dark, pitch dark areas are pitch dark here. So, I mean, I could continue working on all this right here. Add a little more charcoal to it. Get it much more darker than what I've got here. You want to check the pattern of the highlights. Try to mimic those. Again, it's like right there, you know, I see, okay, you got this part here, you got this part here, you know, and then get the details in depending on how realistic you want to go. Match what you see here, and it will start to really, really look good. Dark area here, dark areas here. Get the fuzzies going on here. Don't make a mess like I did, but I was rushing through this whole thing, so that is basically it. Okay. Oh, and I didn't even bother to work on that part there. So anyway, that's that's another part that could use some attention. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on that, but anyway, you can fuss with that. Okay. Well, there you go. How to draw dark hair. I'm going to switch cameras now, and I'm going to take a look at any questions that you have pertaining to this lesson, and go from there. So give me 1 second. Whew. It's pretty messy work. All right. Let me see what we have here as far as questions and stuff. Okay, let's see. Okay, that's on YouTube. That would be the best. Everybody's working on Letitia's playback problems again, I see. Marcia is from Brazil. So is my mother. They have a problem. You said you wouldn't normally do it this way, but for time, how would you normally do it? Can you say without going into another direction? You said you wouldn't normally do it this way. For dark hair, I would normally do it this way, but just not at 90 miles an hour. I take my sweet time. Always put down a charcoal base, but I put it down carefully because I want my background to be white. I don't want charcoal all over the place. Also, as you can see, I have the easel back there. If I use the powder, I don't want to throw a whole bunch on like I just did. I was doing that for time because I don't have a whole lot of time. And so I was pushing a lot of charcoal around, but you want to get a dark base. When you're doing dark hair, go with a dark base. Then you want to start to make sure you got all the paper hidden out for those areas that are going to be solid black. Then you want to start taking your highlights out. Then you want to blend it down. Then you want to either add more charcoal with your pencils, especially in between areas of highlights. Blend it down. Take your erasers again and start taking highlights out. Blend it down. Then add more charcoal where you need it. Blend it down. Then put in your final highlights. Then get your dark pencil, your hard pencil, and get in between areas that you want to make it look like the hair is above the rest of the hair, so it's darker as it's closer to the scalp. So you give it 3D. Okay, then you want to start doing the fine hairs and stuff on the outside of the scalp, you know, the flyaway hairs, the pointy hairs, whatever. You want to start getting those in, so use your extra hard charcoal pencils or your graphite pencils, whatever you're using. Get those on there. Get the details going so that it gives the overall impression that you've got hair. Instead of drawing a bunch of spaghetti noodles, like people tend to draw a lot of spaghetti noodles, or porcupine needles, and they don't look like hair. And I see a lot of people say, "Oh, I can't draw hair. Hair is hard," because they're trying to draw hair with a bunch of lines that's supposed to be hair. No, you're going to do shading and then take highlights out, and you're going to give the impression of hair. At least that's the way I like to do it, and that's how I draw my hair. Okay, let's see. Finally, Marty gets to attend. Yay! And we got someone who's Egyptian. I don't know how to say your name, but welcome. And again, Marty, thank you very much for your super chat. I really appreciate that, buddy. I really do. Helena, hi, how are you? Muito mes Pedro. You sound Brazilian too. Você fala português? See? Let's see. Buenos tardes. What's the eraser you're using? I'm using the Tombow Moto Zero. I'm using the Tough Stuff, and also a sliced wedge from a regular white eraser. Let's see, how often do you do these live sketches, and how long do you do them for? Okay, well, live sessions, I've been doing one a week when I had a drawing that I was doing, but that project ended a few days ago. It was posted on the Facebook group. If you're not part of the Facebook group, you should come over and join, and I handle a lot of questions there too. And they've been averaging about 90 minutes, but I was really hoping not to go 90, and I'm not going to go 90 on this one. I think we're 9 minutes short of an hour, so I'm going to get these questions in, and once I get every question done, then of course we're going to end this session. This was just a quick tips video, so I wasn't actually drawing any portrait like I normally do in live sessions. I was taking somebody else's problem here, what their task is, and just kind of showing a quick way that you can draw dark hair. And I have a couple of videos on that where I actually take a little more time. There's a time-lapse one too, and you can see that it really comes out looking exactly like the reference photo when you're done. In this particular case, I just want to give you the concept, give you the tips and tricks, but not go from start to finish. If I do that, I'm going to actually have to do it off live session and then put it on as a time-lapse video so you can see the whole process from start to finish. And then, of course, you're going to see more perfection. But I'm not aiming for perfection in this one. I'm aiming to finish in a timely manner. It's already coming up to 1 hour. Okay. Yes, Bill, the last one was 3 hours, but that was because Bill wanted to see me finish the portrait, right, Bill? You wanted me to do it. Yeah, you got to take the hit on this one, buddy. He wanted me to draw the ear, and I was already drawing the hair, so I had to finish the neck. So I figured I'd finish the whole thing, you know. By the way, if you hadn't seen it, hold on a second. For those who haven't seen it, this is what the last live session was, the 3-hour live session. This is the drawing I finished. It's all in plastic right now, being protected, and try not to get too much glare in there, but let's see, right there. Okay, that looks about right. There you go. Anyway, I just finished this. You can see I finished it over here. It says the 22nd or something. So that's the date I gave it as official. I sat and watched it for a day or 1 or 2 days before I try not to get this glare in there, but sorry about that. There you go. Okay. Anyway, my live sessions the last 4 or 5 weeks was drawing this from start to finish. So everyone who was able to join or watch every one of my live sessions for the last few weeks saw me draw this step by step by step by step by step. This is a photorealistic drawing that I call Little Boy Lost. Okay. And my wife promised to get it framed today so I don't end up ruining it, you know. Get this off to the side here. Okay, and let's see, more questions here. Let me go through. I'm still scrolling down. You can adopt me. Joy beat Bill. I beat Bill. I'm 59, so that makes you the young kid, Bill. All right, let's see. How often? Okay, we already answered that. Awesome. It's looking good. Okay. It's okay. It's again, it was a rush job, guys. That's my disclaimer because I was really rushing through that, and still ended up being longer than I had expected. And let's see who else. Who's a lot of things here to read. Yeah, Brett. Join the Facebook group. Most definitely. This is where I picked up this photograph here because the person there, the artist there, was starting to draw it and practice it like this here. And I wanted to kind of help him out to not be drawing hair like this if you're going to try to draw something like this. So, you know, you wanted something, get it to be more realistic, like dark hair. And so since he's starting to practice on that, I'd rather he doesn't develop bad habits right off the bat. So that's the whole thing. Okay, let's see. I'm young, but this drawing is really cool. Thanks, Rules. I would like to press the tutorial on a certain picture using graphite. Okay, join the group, Brett. Letitia, again, thank you so much. Would you use the same process to create afros? Yes, I would, but it depends. With afro, you're dealing with a lot of what do you call it? tight curls, tight curls, and I may, if the reference photo shows the tight curls, I forgot what they call it, that term, for the curls. But anyway, if you can really see it, really like detail wise, then no, I'd put down my base with a light charcoal, but then I'd want to go in there and then just start doing these little flips or something, and then, you know, it depends on the reference photo, will depend on how much blending I'm going to have to do, how much pulling out of highlights. But if it's like you see this solid dark mass with very little details, like a little highlight here, then yes, I'm going to start like that. But I think with afros, you're going to have to be a little bit careful with that. I have personally not drawn one myself, so I'm thinking in here right now as to, well, how would I go about that? And it's really going to come down to the reference photo. So one of these days I'll probably just pick me one and go for it, and then show that as an example of how I would do it. So it all depends. But this reference photo here, if you'll notice, it's solid black. It's solid black, which is a lot of hair is solid black. There's no details here. The details are on the edge, and then there's the highlights. So you could go solid black and then pull out the highlights. That's easy. But, you know, the afro may not be like that. You may end up having to do a whole lot of loop-de-doos with that. Okay, I hope that answers your question, Letitia. Let's see. And if you ever want a reference pic to use during your life chores, I would be honored if you'd use my little girl. She became a quadriplegic when she was a baby, and she is super sassy. Boy, Daniela, talking about pulling on somebody's heartstrings here. Come on. I bet you she is really something wonderful. Someone really would. Did you ever upload her pictures so we could see? Is she the one that like was laying in the hospital bed, and was that you and her? I'm trying to remember which one that is. I just wake up. Oh, you just woke up. It seems like it would be perfect for afros and dark hair in general. Again, you know, it will depend on the reference photo. The racer is your best friend. Yes, Joy, you're correct. Highlights to create depth and shine in some areas. Shine would not be the word I'd use, because shine is often referring to what comes off of graphite. You might want to, you probably word it differently, like, you know, highlights, like what you see right there on my forehead. That is a highlight if I was a photograph. Okay. Amino hard charcoal pencil will allow you to make the small curls. Yep. Okay, I just got a set of woodless charcoal pencils you might like. Okay, woodless, my favorite. Yes, I love woodless too. Okay, the soft is jet black. Yeah. So what kind of brush were you using? Just a soft, very soft paintbrush. You can use makeup paintbrushes too. Those are real. Or makeup brushes, not paintbrush. Makeup brushes are really soft, and you can use those. See, that looks great. Thanks, Bill. Haven't done charcoal yet, Danielle. You gotta get darker, Danielle. Gotta get darker. Okay. Yes, the Beauty Blender. That's the brush. I can't wait to try. I would like to request a lesson of a certain. You already asked that. New Zealand, Janice. Hi, Janice. Lancaster. You know, I used to live in a city called Lancaster in California when I was in 6th grade. Marty, I do what I can. Yes, you do, Marty. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your support. What What size is that, Rix? Janet asked me what size. What size is what? I don't know what you're asking about. She is a mess and super happy. And probably if you would like, I will post a picture. Yeah, post a picture. Try drawing her. I mean, you know, that way you'd have a good reason to post a picture. Other than just posting a picture to share, you know, pictures, because we do have to be careful that we're not going to just start doing family album stuff and nobody's actually going to draw what they're posting. So maybe try drawing her and then post it next to her picture. That way, perfect excuse to share the photo. Okay, let's see. Photo you held up that you finished at the. Okay. Oh, the photo you held up. I guess that's the answer to my question. So, what size is that? 8.5 by 11. 8.5 by 11. Okay. And I think I came to the end. So, thank you guys for showing up. We're now 2 minutes past the hour. 1 hour, that is. And appreciate the super chats. Marty. And, whoops. Where's everything? Letitia Collins. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it, guys and gals. I really appreciate that. Okay, if there are no other questions, okay. I will get her. Letitia drew her. I will pee. Okay. I will pee. Okay. What does that mean? POKST it. See you, Marty. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. See you next time. Post it. Okay, post it. You're funny, Danielle. You're funny. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I gotta go. Gotta hunt down the missus. Anyway, got a lot of work to do this afternoon, and I certainly hope it helps the artist that uploaded. I think his name was Mohammed. I'm not quite sure. And hopefully he gets a chance to see this, and it helps him out. So, thanks, peeps. See you next time. Bye now.